What's up, it's Jan back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. This is gonna be my August wrap up. Alright, hello. I'm filming this during my sprints, so we have limited time. But I read 25 books, I think. If you're new here, I do my wrap-ups in the reread, rewrite, burn, tag format, where I put little slips of paper with the titles of the books I read in this skull. It used to be a Stitch mug, I know, RIP. Now it's a skull. I just pull them out 3 at a time, and I say whether I'd reread, rewrite, or burn the book. I read a bunch of library books this month, some audiobooks, and then I have a few physical books right here. We start each wrap up with a little recap. Fuck, I didn't do it. Okay, well, we're gonna figure it out together. I made the page for it, and I have all the like prompts, the things I have to talk about. We're just gonna do it as we go. So the number of books I believe is 25. There is one that I read 2 short stories at the end of A Dowry of Blood, both by S.T. Gibson, and they were like a few pages long, so I just combined them as one book, especially because the second one wasn't on Goodreads. Also, sorry for this outdoor nature noise, but I'm right by the window. Number of pages I did not calculate, but I have the page all filled out. There are some days where I read over 300 pages, a couple days where I didn't hit my 100-page goal, like I have a 43 and an 82, oh, and 78, but everything else was over 100, some over 200, some over 300, so that's cool, but I didn't add them all up because clearly I'm not prepared for this. Number of BIPOC authors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did really badly. Again, this month I'm trying to be more intentional because it's time. This month and like the rest of the year, I'm gonna be a little bit more intentional. I'm not saying I'm gonna read every book by a BIPOC author, but we're gonna try our best. And I know I've been saying that, but last month with Full Moon Readathon has been so hectic, and then it's just gonna get more hectic until we're moved into our new place. Hopefully November gets all settled because we move October 29th and my brain is I'm just a headless freaking chicken, okay? Next, we have best book of the month. I forced myself to finish this book last night so I can make it my best book of the month because I knew it was going to be 5 stars. The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. This is a gothic horror. It also has some romance, which was unexpected, and it really did creep me out. It's the haunted house trope. It's historical fiction as well. I'm not even sure where exactly. Oh, set in the aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence. It says Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca, and I haven't read Rebecca. I read like a chapter of Rebecca, and I loved Mexican Gothic, so I can kind of say that that's pretty accurate. I mean, with the Gothic vibes and everything. This was really good. The creepiness was definitely creepy. The audiobook is really good too because I followed along towards the end, and I love the 2 main characters, and I sobbed at the end. So this was 5 stars. This was my Patreon buddy read for August. If you didn't know, I have a Patreon. We're called The Lair. We're vampire themed. We get to know each other really well on the Discord. We have chill buddy reads. We have the Full Moon Book Club vlogs. We have other exclusive content every month. We have meetups like via video chat. We have videos with Joey. And did I say monthly readathons already? Movie nights. So links down below if you want to know more about The Lair, but I would love to have you. Worst book. I think I gave a 1 star this month. No, I gave a lot of 2-star books. I'm gonna say A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing. The other option was The Night Circus because it just dragged, but at least the writing was good in The Night Circus, right? A Twisted Love Story was just nothing happened. The twist was stupid. It just was way too long. Like that could have been done in a short story, novella max. So I'm officially done with Samantha Downing. She's a one-hit wonder for me. I've read all her books by now, 4 of them, and I've only liked her debut, which was My Lovely Wife. So we're done with that. This was basically just a bunch of characters who had secrets, and the main couple was toxic. They just always like broke up and made up, and then one of their big fights led to them killing someone. That's in the synopsis, don't worry. The way all these characters were connected was just not fun to read. It was boring, it dragged. The chapters were short, so that's what kept me going, but otherwise I was so disappointed. Non-fiction of the month. I actually read 2. So I read The Light We Carry by Michelle Obama. This was 5 stars. I listened to it on audio and then I bought a physical copy. I loved this book. I kind of maybe possibly like this more than Becoming, to be honest, which was also 5 stars. I really liked her discussions on like celebrating little victories and her stories that she told about her family, like her mom and her daughters. Even the parts about being a mother were captivating for me, which is rare because y'all know me about that subject. And then the chapter about her talking about Barack and their relationship and their love always gets me. Every time they talk about each other, it just pulls at every heartstring. Love them. And I hope Barack Obama's book has a chapter about Michelle because I still gotta read that one because I've owned that for a while. But I do highly recommend. It's not very preachy. It is classified as self-help because she does talk about like dealing with outside pressures, bullies when she was in high school because she was like taller than everyone else and stuff like that. But even though it's classified as self-help, it does not feel preachy or anything. And I mean, it's Michelle Obama. She's great. She's amazing. I also read Making a Scene by Constance Wu, which I gave 4 stars just because like the writing wasn't the greatest. It was just very much like storytelling, which is fine, you know, like it was a pleasant story to listen to. I listened to it on audio as well. And of course it's by an Asian woman, so she talked about some relatable things as an Asian woman myself. Again, the audiobook was pleasant to listen to. She talked a lot about her childhood and this awful teacher that accused her of plagiarism, and then of course the acting industry and being a female actress and a female person in a man's world. There is SA and things like that, so please check trigger warnings before reading this one. But that was my other nonfiction book. I do try to read at least one every month. My Kindle book, usually I have my Unmuted and Unhinged Sprints book in there, and if you don't know what that is, it's where Joey and I read an extreme horror or just horror novella in one sitting and live react to it and have like ambiance in the background playing low, so it's like regular sprints but it's just unmuted so you could hear our reactions and like our conversations while we read it. But anyway, usually I have that as my Kindle book because I'm trying to utilize my Kindle more and more, so I have to make it a goal for myself, like a loose goal, to read one Kindle book a month. But I DNF'd Ensuring Your Place in Hell, which we read for those sprints, so I chose to pick up King of Wrath by Anna Huang and I gave it 5 stars. It was so unexpectedly fun and the steam was really good, and I thought it would be like annoying because it'd be way too similar to Dreamland Billionaires, and it was super similar, but I think Anna Huang did it better, to be honest. I really liked these characters, and I'm usually not a person who loves books that revolve around money and stuff, but I thought this was fun and well done, so I guess I'm a billionaire romance girly. I don't know, I'm definitely gonna read King of Pride. So that's my Kindle book. Buzzwordathon. Okay, listen. My patrons and I, and also Joey, had this whole debate whether or not I already fulfilled the prompt. The buzzword for August was body parts, okay? And Kayla makes a lot of exceptions, and she's like, you can stretch this to this, this, and that. So I was like, blood is in your body. Okay, a dowry of blood counts. And Joey was like,
no, it's not a body part though.
So we had this whole debate, and I did ask Kayla, I asked the queen of booktube herself, queen of buzzwordathon herself, if she would count blood, and she said yes, definitely. I'll put the screenshot right here. I asked her during the sprints where we were having a heated debate, and like I can see where the opposing side is coming from, but it counts, so I'm counting it. Obviously gave Dowry of Blood 5 stars. Aside from my reread of Dowry and Fangs, I only had 3 5 stars this month, which is kind of wild for me. But 500 plus pages. The Night Circus was over 500 pages, but I gave it 2 stars because it was boring, it dragged. I liked listening to the audiobook because the narrator had an accent, but otherwise I was bored out of my mind, and the only reasons I continued was because it was on my 23 for 2023 list, and Katie from Katie is Reading made a spoiler-filled vlog for it because it was her Patreon buddy read. So it all worked out in terms of all that, like checking off goals and whatever, but like the book itself is going on my Pango list. And I have it right here, so I don't know why I'm not holding it up. I did not read a classic, and that is it for the recap. Okay. We're gonna start the first 3. So we have Daughter of the Siren Queen by Trisha Levenseller, which is the sequel to Daughter of the Pirate King. I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. They're all library books. Oh, and then we have Miss Dowry of Blood. Obviously gonna reread this. I've read it 4 times, so what's a 5th, right? It was my 4th reread. I still cried. I read this edition. This is the Bookish Box edition. I didn't annotate it because obviously I don't want to ruin that, and I've annotated it 3 times prior. So it was fun just like reading through it and internalizing everything without having to worry about annotating. But yeah, it did make me cry at the end once again. I would die for this book. This is my favorite book of all time. It means the entire world to me. Like, I've never felt so seen in terms of like being in a toxic relationship and stuff in the past. So good. If you haven't already, this is your sign to pick it up. I Know Who You Are, I would rewrite. I loved how fucked up this book was. I picked it up because Alice Feeney's new book came out and I wanted to read the rest of her backlist, which is I Know Who You Are. I've read everything else she's written and she's one of my favorite thriller authors. This one was so fucked up. I pushed this one off because Liv from Liv's Library said there's this fucked up thing, and then so I asked her if it was this specific thing and she's like, yeah. So basically I spoiled myself. So I think it would have probably been 5 stars if I didn't know, but that was on me. That was all on me. I'm not blaming Liv whatsoever, just to make that clear. But I did give I Know Who You Are 4 stars. I would rewrite it in, I wouldn't take out the fucked up parts actually. Maybe like during the reveal, maybe make it less, you know, that classic like monologue thing where all the ways that this person did the deeds, where it's just like a dump of like all the reveals at once and how they came to be and things like that. I would change that to make it less like that, because every time I come across thrillers that have that, I think of The Woman in the Window, when the person just literally like told the main character everything at once. Yeah, not a fan of that. So I would change that. And oh, and then I would burn Daughter of the Siren Queen because I like Daughter of the Pirate King better. I did enjoy the audiobook just as much, but I zoned out a lot compared to Daughter of the Pirate King, where I was like hooked. But I did love the ending of Daughter of the Siren Queen. I thought it was really cute and well done. Next we have Fangs by Sarah Anderson. The 2 short stories at the end of this. An Encore of Roses is also on S.T. Gibson's website, but A Cathedral of Intrigue is only in this particular edition. Oh wow, I have all 3 of them. Threads That Bind. I would reread the 2 short stories. Obviously it's S.T. Gibson. I can't not. Like, I gave An Encore of Roses 4 stars and then A Cathedral of Intrigue 5 stars. The first one is basically just the main characters showing their love for each other and talking about how much they miss each other, and then there's like a steamy scene and blah blah blah. Cathedral of Intrigue talked about like religion and rebelling. There was a lot of good banter in there, and then this one thing happened relating to the church and people in it. And it's a very short story, so I don't want to say too much, but I gave that one 5 stars. I love that one. I laughed. I love it. So I would reread both of those. And then Fangs I would rewrite to make it longer. I love this so much. It takes me like 10 minutes to read. I'd keep rereading this. This is like I think that was my 3rd reread, and I needed it just for the full moon readathon. So it was like kind of a cop out, but also I still laughed. Noticed the main characters' names, which I never noticed before. So I would make this longer. Honestly, I would read a novel with these characters. So that's my little cop out answer for a rewrite. And then honestly would burn Threads That Bind. I'm gonna sell this copy. I'll probably put it on my Pango right after filming this. This was fun while I was reading it, and then it fell flat. There was a lot of redundancy. It's a debut fantasy, so the world building definitely could have been a little bit better instead of just repeating information we already knew over and over again in different words. Like, there's a way to do that without it being obviously redundant. Does that make sense? I would never reread this. I have the Pretty Fairy Loot edition, but I would never reread it. I'm glad I did read it though, because the story was cool, the concepts were cool. Basically, descendants of the goddesses of fate have these threads that they can either cut, weave, or something else, and our main character is a thread cutter, and then she also has this like fated mate thing going on, and there are these murders happen. So there's a murder mystery in this too, so I thought that was cool. Like, it had a bunch of genres in this, but it's obviously mainly fantasy. The romance could have been, I guess, more fleshed out. It wasn't really fun to read. I don't know. It just dragged on, especially towards the end. I gave it 3 stars, but it was like a disappointing 3 stars because I wanted this to be a 5 star, especially because it was Fairy Loot, and my first 2 Fairy Loot books were solid 5 stars, so that was disappointing. The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, The Light We Carry by Michelle Obama, and The Dragonette Prophecy. I would burn The Dragonette Prophecy. I read it for just a prompt for Full Moon Readathon. It's a middle grade. I listened to it on audio. I don't really remember much about it, but I read it like while I was running and then like whenever I was doing chores and stuff, so I was like very distracted. I mean, it's a middle grade about talking dragons, and it was a cool story. I maybe would read the sequel. I don't know if I'd read the entire 15-book series, but I mean, I still enjoyed it better than Fourth Wing, so do with that information as you will. Would reread this. Light We Carry, already talked about it. I would absolutely reread it, especially because I bought a physical copy specifically to annotate it. So there's that. And then I would rewrite The Dead Romantics. Oh, this one. I gave this one 3 stars, I think. Oh, I gave The Dragonette Prophecy 3 stars as well. This one I gave 3 stars. I wasn't a fan of the characters. The writing wasn't great either. I would just make their banter better. Their banter was not cute. It reminded me of the banter in Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I didn't really like it. And then there was also this phrase that was so overused. It was like, oh, he said as much or something. I feel like I'm the only one who would like notice shit like that, but it was so prominent. And there were like obvious reveals. I mean, the fact that there were reveals in a romance was cool, but I mean, it's a romance. Everything's predictable. But this was just like, it was supposed to be this big thing, but it wasn't. But I will say that it did handle grief really well, I think. And according to my friends who have experienced family members dying, I heard grief is handled really well in this. I will say that I love romances with like deeper substance. So the fact that grief and like hard-hitting topics were discussed in this, then I do appreciate that, but I would rewrite the banter. Next 3. My Murder by Katie Williams, I believe. Such Pretty Flowers by C.L. something. L.C. I don't remember the J.L. Sarah. I don't remember the author's name. And then we Court of the Undying Seasons by A.M. Strickland. Okay, so I would burn My Murder. I gave that one 2 stars. It was a library book. It fell flat. It was nothing like what I expected. It wasn't fast-paced at all. It read more like a literary fiction. It's basically this dystopian world where the government like clones you. So we're following this clone, the main character, who was murdered by the serial killer. We follow the clone solving the murder and navigating life as a clone and finding things out, piecing things together about main character. There's like all this drama and like support group discussions, and it wasn't great. I mean, it was such a short book and it took me forever, but I did read that for Full Moon Readathon. Such Pretty Flowers I would definitely reread. I thought that was so fun. 4 stars. I thought it was so creepy. It was fun to read. Once you like binge a bunch of pages, you like can't stop. It's so fun. It's about this girl whose brother offs himself. She gets obsessed with / stalks his girlfriend and shit goes down. I don't even want to like spoil anything, but she and the girlfriend hang out a lot. She finds out some weird shit about this girlfriend and it's really good. And then I would rewrite Court of the Undying Seasons. I would honestly burn this book, but I guess I'd rewrite the ending. The ending just dragged. I blacked out the last 10%. This was my book club pick for last month for Full Moon Book Club, which I host by my lonesome, if you didn't know. My next book club pick is The Book Eaters by Sun Yi Dean. I'm too lazy to go get it, but just so you know, just putting that out there because I'm not doing my announcement videos anymore. The ending was awful. A lot of things fell flat with me too. A lot of the characters I didn't really care for, and some of the reveals. I would rewrite some of the reveals for sure because a couple of them were obvious. I'm selling this too at the end of the year once I take my end of the year book club picks photo. Next 3 we've got When the Crow's Away by Oralee Wallace, The Return by Rachel Harrison, and A Twisted Love Story, which I would burn because we already talked about it. That's my worst book of the month. I would reread When the Crow's Away because that was so fun. It was cozy, witchy. That's a cozy mystery. It's the sequel to In the Company of Witches, and I gave When the Crow's Away 3 stars. I gave the first one 5 stars, but I would still reread it because, yeah, no, sorry. I would rewrite it. I wasn't a fan of the mystery aspect, and I think it was too similar to The Dead Romantics, and I read them almost one after the other. Maybe a book or 2 in between, but make it more cozy, less mystery, like the first one. I really liked the cozy vibes of the first one. This one still had the cozy vibes, but it was more heavy on the mystery aspect. And then I would reread The Return by Rachel Harrison. I have the physical copy now because thanks to Ashlyn, one of my vamps, she got it for me for hitting 6,000 subscribers, so thank you so much. But I read this via audio, and I would reread this because like the second half really creeped me out. First half was a lot about the female friendship and they were kind of annoying. There were like 4 of them and they all felt like the same person, but the creepy parts really, really good. Joey actually read this after me. He gave it 3 stars, but I gave it 4. It would have been a 5 if there was maybe, like I said in my vlog, like a male friend in this friend group, because like it'll balance out, you know, the estrogen, just that female drama that goes on. Maybe if it was just like 2 friends, maybe even just 3 friends to like, yeah, I don't know. It was just annoying, like some of the girly things that were going on. But yeah, it's about this friend who goes missing for a couple years, comes back, there's something weird going on with her, and it's like a classic missing person story, right? But then they go to this like hotel on this like girls trip, and then they keep finding out more and more things about while this girl was away. It was creepy. I was literally home alone listening to this book and I was like pausing to like look over my shoulder and shit. So I'll link this vlog down below. I believe it was one of my full moon readathon vlogs. I don't remember, but I would reread reread this and annotate it because now I have the physical copy. Next, almost done. Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. This is Joey's book. I have Daughter of the Pirate King, and then Tinfoil Butterfly. I would burn Tinfoil Butterfly. This was a thriller about this woman who steals a van and goes on this road trip and then ends up at this diner, and there's this weird boy with a tinfoil mask on. There are other people at this diner too, or around this area, and weird shit goes down. I know I say that a lot, but like I don't want to spoil anything. It was just like weird though, like too weird to the point where it wasn't fun to read, and it was just annoying. There was a lot of like hallucinations, I think, or maybe not. I don't even know. I gave that one 2 stars. I think I would reread Daughter of the Pirate King. It was so fun. I almost bought a physical copy, but I was like, the audiobook is a gem. You know, the accent that this narrator had, it was just perfect. I'm not a pirate book girly, but I watched The Last Voyage of the Demeter and I wanted some pirate books, or like books set at sea or whatever. So this was recommended to me by Sash from Sash Reads. I gave it 4 stars. There's like a romance in it too, and it was very like riveting. It was captivating. I couldn't stop listening to it. It's a very addictive audiobook. And then Gone to See the Riverman, I'd rewrite some of the problematic things. I think like there's the R word was used in this. There's some Asian fetishization. That's why I gave this 3 stars, but otherwise it could have been really good. It discusses the power of love and like how crazy people can get acting on love to the point where it's obsession sometimes. So basically this serial killer who's in prison is writing letters to this girl who's like obsessed with this serial killer. He like sends her and her sister off to go see the Riverman. There were some really gross and creepy moments in this, which I really loved, but I loved the first half way more than the second half. The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. Already talked about her. The Night Circus. It's upside down. I don't even... The Night Circus. And King of Wrath by Ana Huang. Okay. I would... Okay. I don't know what I would say to rewrite King of Wrath though. I think I would reread King of Wrath just because it was like fun and easy, and I would reread it again. I already talked about that in my Kindle book. That was the billionaire romance. The Hacienda, I think I would rewrite some of the slower like historical parts that I didn't really care too much about, and then there were also some side characters that I felt were maybe unnecessary, or it just felt like those parts dragged whenever we were having conversations with those side characters that didn't feel necessary to the plot. But like I said, I mean, this was my favorite book of the month, so I would reread this if it were up against other books. But in this case, there's that, and I would burn The Night Circus. I don't even want to look at it. All right, and then our last book, a wild card, The Haunting of Aveline Jones. This is such a cute, spooky middle grade. I loved it. I was gonna get rid of it because, you know, it's a trilogy, and I'm like, it's not available in the US, but I love the cover too much, and it was super cute, and I would reread this. It was a fun, cute time. I didn't annotate it or anything, so maybe I'll do that next time, but basically this girl has to stay with her aunt in this small town because her mom has to take care of her grandma or whatever, and she loves books. She loves books about ghosts. She finds this book about a ghost, and she finds things out about this spooky town, and it was so just well done, and I would love to read the trilogy. I would buy the rest of them. This cover is just too good. I mean, I'm not a middle grade reader, and I love this, so check it out if you are looking for a spooky middle grade. Wait, are there more? Oh my god, there are more. Why do I have an even number? Oh my god, I'm stupid. Okay, so I guess reread, rewrite, burn. So I would reread that. I hate saying I would rewrite memoirs, but Making a Scene I would rewrite because I would burn Tokyo Ghoul. Okay, Making a Scene I would rewrite just to make it like better writing. I guess like deeper writing instead of like just straight storytelling. I guess more show, less tell. I don't know. My only other option is Tokyo Ghoul, which I loved. I gave Tokyo Ghoul 4 stars. This is my next manga series I'm gonna read for sure. I read this for back to school readathon in like one sitting during my lunch break, and I really loved it, but I already reread Haunting of Aveline Jones, so I am gonna continue with Tokyo Ghoul. Maybe I wouldn't necessarily reread any of the volumes. I'd just do like a one and done type thing, but I did really like Tokyo Ghoul. It's about these ghouls who eat human flesh, and it was a spooky manga, and it was gross. There were a lot of gross parts, but I really enjoyed it. If you made it to the end of this video, let's just put the house emoji in the comments down below because the Hacienda was like a haunted house, but also to represent moving. But I'm not moving to a house, I'm moving to another apartment. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and if you agree or disagree, whatever. Talk in the comments. Why did I lose focus? Hope y'all had a great day. Stay safe and stay spooky always, and I'll see y'all in my next one. Bye.